Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze. Breezeway Productions The Breeze. We bring you the latest in independent films and film festival news, and we have director-writer Robert Bellocchi here with us. I'm sorry, excuse me, Bruce Bellocchi here with us today to talk about The Legend of Jack and Diane,
So memorable.
starring Tom Sizemore and Robert Lasardo. How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Sorry about that. It's a little bit rusty on the start, but Bruce, tell me a little bit about the film.
Well, the film is, it's funny because the film kind of morphed from something completely different. My girlfriend and I were actually writing an episodic show that I wanted to pitch to HBO, and it was still based in the same premise where it's a young couple from like Seymour, Indiana, and they want to go out to Hollywood, and the girl wants to become a star, he wants to become a writer, but she kind of falls trapped to the sexual predators like the Harvey Weinsteins of the world.
Mhm.
And after her first experience, and when they get to Hollywood, they realize that Hollywood is not what it's kind of shown to be.
Mhm.
They get caught up in the underbelly, and they end up having like a hit list and going after all the sexual predators in Hollywood, and kind of become like a natural born killers couple going after these predators. And when we were pitching it, I was getting great feedback, started getting some press on the script. Some of the executives at different networks were like, this is really, really good, but we're not really ready to tackle this. And I kind of got the feeling, and it was over COVID, I kind of got the feeling that it was going to get stalled. So we kind of toned the script down a little bit and changed the premise. So it's a couple now that Diane finds out that her mother was murdered early on in her life when she was 3 or 4 years old. She always thought her father did it. That in the news, it was that he did it. And they decide to go out to California. She wants to become a star, but she learns some news before they leave, and she finds out that her mother was actually murdered. And now she takes revenge on everybody involved, and it just goes after everybody from Indiana to California. She's killing drug dealers. She's killing everybody she can get her hands on.
Wow, that's sounds like a fun action film. So you put together a really great cast for it. Tom Sizemore is included in the project, and I'm sorry he's recently left us, but I wanted to talk a little about his performance and how you got him to join you in making this.
I still, once this script started to get out there, I have a lot of friends that are executives in Hollywood and different places, and a couple of friends I graduated high school with had created some popular shows out there. Not going to mention them, but word gets around out there. It's kind of a small circle. I had a lot of people and friends that were agents saying, maybe this person might be interested. And somehow I think it was Tom's manager and I started speaking, and he read the script and said he loved it. And then Tom read the script and he said he really enjoyed it. And then and Tom signed on. He signed on pretty quickly. And he was always, we had a few choices, but Tom was my number one choice. I thought he was, he's in some of my favorite films of all time, from Point Break, which is like my ultimate favorite, True Romance, and you can go on and on. I mean, he's been in Heat, Saving Private Ryan. So although he had his struggles, it was like I'm all about the comeback. First of all,
Yeah.
so I was happy to have him in there, and I even put myself into a scene because I wanted to act into a scene with Tom, and he was fantastic. He was just a pleasure to work with. He was so nice to everyone, always offered support. It was awesome. I mean, you could kind of tell that his better days might have been behind him. And I don't mean just acting wise. He just looked like maybe a few days he didn't look like he looked very tired on the set sometimes, and struggled a little bit, but he was still just having him on screen was absolutely fantastic.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that he was able to join your film, and the film being the action-packed film that it is. And you said that they go all over and start taking people out and taking revenge. And it does take a village to make this film. I wanted to talk about your producing team. Who are the right hands in order to make this move forward? So to give some love to the producers.
Well, the right hands were, it originally started with a meeting. A friend of mine that I've known since kindergarten, a guy named Rick Geller. And he had read the script. It was just a chance meeting because we were actually, I was making the movie. I had some people interested. And then I was back in Florida. I go back and forth between LA and Florida. I was in Florida and he wanted to meet for a cigar. I hadn't seen him since 12th grade in high school. And I was kind of blowing it off because I'm like, how do you catch up with someone after that many years? There's too many things. So it took me 3 or 4 weeks to even agree to just meet and have a cigar with him. But then we did, and we started talking about what we were doing, and he loved the idea of the film, wanted to read it, then he wanted to get involved, and he was an attorney. He brought a couple of other guys in who I am now partners with, a guy named Paul Faust and Edward Lake, who are just Ed Lake owns a ton of law firms down here. The Ed Lake law firms got 40 of them. Wow. He put up the majority of the money, and is it's kind of a passion for him. And he was friends with our other producer named Paul Faust, who's now my partner in all the future films. But there were a lot of producers on this film. There were probably, I don't know, 10 or 12. A very good friend of mine named Jackie Callan, who's famous in the boxing world. They made a movie about her called Against the Ropes. She was the first female boxing manager to have a world champion. She was a producer on the film. I brought her on. So it was definitely a big team. And, we had a lot of shooting locations all over LA. And it was a good, for our first decent sized film. It was a nice undertaking.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and that is a wonderful village that you have behind you, and the film was just recently released, so if people wanted to find out more about it, where would they go to check it out?
It's on Amazon Prime right now, and then it gets something really cool about the film is it's getting released in it goes around the world and it gets dubbed into the native language. When it goes to Thailand, it gets dubbed into their native language, and it's also getting dubbed in with artificial intelligence. Which is one of the first films to actually do that. Our distributors in Maverick, they're amazing, and nice. And they really taking this by the horns and believe in the film, and they're doing some really cool things that are going to turn some heads in the distribution world.
Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck with the film, and it sounds like a very fun, action-packed film to check out. So, The Legend of Jack and Diane, which has recently been distributed, so you can check that out on Amazon Prime. And director-writer Bruce Bellocchi, I thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today about the film On the Breeze.
Hey, thank you. It was a pleasure.